A sample problem, calculating impulse. A car is hit from behind by an identical car with a force of 50,000 kilogram meters per second squared. Both cars come to a stop within 2 seconds. What impulse does the struck car experience? Okay, so what do we know? Well, we know, and you can see it's highlighted here, that the force that we're dealing with is 50,000 kilogram meters per second squared, or newtons. Okay, both cars come to a stop within 2 seconds, so there's our time. Okay, so, and remember our formula, right, is impulse is equal to force times time. So we take 50,000, our force, okay, and we multiply it by our time, 2 seconds, to find out our impulse. So here's the equation. Impulse is equal to 50,000 times 2, or 100,000 newtons is the impulse. Now, you're going to do this one on your own. A football player collides with another player. The force of the collision is 1,000 kilogram meters per second squared. The collision lasts 1 second. What is the impulse? So this is where you're going to pause along the way. So you're going to write down what you know now on a piece of paper or on a doc. Okay, you should have written down that force is equal to 1,000 kilogram meters per second squared, and the collision lasted 1 second, so time is equal to 1 second. Impulse should have a question mark beside it. The equation we're going to use is going to be impulse is equal to what? Force times time. Okay, so now plug in your known values. 1,000 times 1 equals, that's right, your answer should be 1,000 newtons. Number 2, if the same force in question 1 lasted 2 seconds, what would the impulse be? So if we remember, the force was 1,000 kilogram meters per second squared, okay, and we multiply that by 2, what would the impulse be? You should have got, yes, 2,000. A baseball player feels a frictional force of 400 newtons as she slides into home. What is the impulse if the slide lasts 0.5 seconds? Okay, so first of all, our force, 400 newtons. And as you can see in these questions, we're using kilogram meters per second squared and newtons interchangeably because they are the same thing. Okay, so that's our force. The time we have is 0.5 seconds. Okay, so what is 400 times 0.5? Right, you should get 200 newtons. Remember that you need to be showing all your work as you're going through this as well. What should be the impulse of the same slide in question 3 if it lasted 2 seconds? So if you remember, the force was 400 newtons, and if it lasted 2 seconds, 400 times 2 seconds, 800 newtons.